Okay, thank you so much, Mary Radford, for joining us tonight to talk about the fun for vocations and to tell us why this is so important. But first, so excited you're here. I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself and how you grew up and anything else you want to share with us.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Rhonda, for having me. I'm so happy to be here. This is a great blessing. And I'm excited to introduce everyone to the Fund for Vocations as well for that opportunity. So I am a cradle Catholic. I was born in Seattle, Washington, and grew up mostly on the West Coast, Seattle. And then we moved to San Francisco, where I went to grade school. And I will stop right there and tell you that is where, when we lived in San Francisco and I was in elementary school at a really sweet Catholic school. I did not have a heart for vocations at that time. And I know I've told you this story, but I'm going to tell it to our viewers. We had a wonderful, sweet nun who would always tell us, always be listening for that call. You'll hear the call. And I would think, no, no, I don't want to hear the call. And I would go home, and at night, I always thought the call would come at night. I think she told us it would come in the night. I put a pillow over my head so that I would not hear that call.
No, you did
So
not want the call.
I did
Were the
not want that
sisters
call.
not nice? Is
Well,
or what was it about that I don't want the call? Just as a little girl just doesn't was like, no,
right.
I don't want to do what I want to do.
Well, they were a little bit on the old-fashioned side and kind of on the strict side. And I thought, and I was kind of this sweet, always wanting to please and nice person. And I just didn't really think that it suited my personality. But I was sure that I was going to be called. And so I had to put a pillow over my head to make sure it didn't happen.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh, yes, so
moving
funny.
on. Moving on, moved to Seattle, or no, St. Louis, and then on to Philadelphia, where I've been for 25 years with my husband. And we have 5 children, and age range 22 to 30. My mother is a convert, and she's almost 95 years old, and she is still on fire with her faith. And she was really the one that instilled a deep faith in me. My father was a cradle Catholic and also very faithful, but not as on fire as my convert mother. But so we've been here for 25 years, although we had a little stint down in Jamaica in the West Indies, which was a wonderful time. And the church there was in the mountains. It was a little chapel in the mountains. And there was actually marijuana growing in the parking lot. It didn't belong to the priest. It was just kind of like wild, like nobody paid any mind to it. So it was just there. Yeah, but
Well,
my
different
mother came.
experience for sure.
Yeah, it was a different experience, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I loved going to mass there. Um, but yeah, so raised the kids, went back to work, joined the workforce again in around 2015. I went to work for Relevant Radio, a Catholic, large Catholic talk radio network, which many of you've probably heard of. And I was in charge of the Mid-Atlantic. And that was a real blessing, and where I developed this true heart for vocations. See, God was saving me. And it was while I was working at Relevant Radio, I had a lot of interaction with our seminarians, our local seminarians here in Philadelphia, with the Sisters of Life, with the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, the Servants of the Lord and the Virgin Mater, just beautiful, joy-filled, smart, faith-filled young people. And it was during a difficult time in the church that I was working for Relevant Radio, but it gave me so much hope for the future of our church and of our world, meeting these beautiful young people who were giving their lives over to God. And that was when I developed a real heart for vocations. So I was enjoying my job at Relevant Radio, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call from someone telling me that the Fund for Vocations was looking for an executive director. Did I have any interest? And I just had to follow that and see where it would lead me. And that's where I am today.
So tell us a little bit more about the Funds for Vocations and what it does and how does it work on both sides for discerners and givers.
Right. So the Fund for Vocations exists for one purpose and one purpose only: to support vocations to the priesthood and religious life by removing the obstacle of student loan debt. And many of us have no idea that student loan debt is actually an obstacle. But in fact, it is. Thankfully, many of our young people discerning in do have university degrees and even master's degrees, which we think is wonderful that they're so well educated. But the average tuition today is over $35,000, and it's probably actually even more if you factor in room and board and everything else. So it's very unusual for someone to come out of college and not have student loan debt. And so if they would like to discern in, and they apply to a religious order and are accepted, but are not able to enter, they can apply to us for a grant, basically. And if we are able to accept them, then there is no delay in entering into the vocation. They can enter right away. And we really like that there's no chance of distraction or years of potential delay. So that's how we work. Can I tell you how we were founded?
Yeah, sure.
So it's a sweet story. So we were founded in 2007. We've been around for about 13 years, and we were founded by this very generous couple named Catherine and Corey Huber. And Catherine and Corey were approached by their pastor one Sunday, who told them that there was a wonderful young man who'd been accepted into the seminary, but wasn't able to enter because he had student loan debt. Well, this was news to Catherine and Corey that this was an issue. But the pastor asked if they would help this young man out, and they did. And the next thing they know, word spread, and more young people came knocking at their door, and they realized that this was in fact very, very prevalent, and they decided to do something about it. And so they started this nonprofit. The full name is actually Mater Ecclesiae Fund for Vocations. We don't often refer to it by its full name because some people sometimes will casually shorten the name to Mater Ecclesiae, and we are not Mother of the Church. So in order to avoid sacrilege, we and also just to be easy to remember, we typically refer to ourselves as Fund for Vocations. And that's what our website is as well, just fundforvocations.org. But anyway, so they founded the Fund for Vocations and began accepting applications. And our operational model is just as streamlined as our mission. Basically, if someone is accepted into our program, we take over their monthly student loan payments while they are in discernment and in formation. And then if they wind up deciding that God is indeed calling them to religious life or the priesthood, then we pay off the balance of their student loan after they receive final vows. And if they discern that God is actually calling them elsewhere, then we thank them and bless them for the time that they did spend in formation. And they then, when they discern out, they simply reassume their monthly student loan payments. And so it's very, very simple model, and that's all we do.
So I have a few questions. So first, are there orders that will assume some debt? or is there a threshold that they're like, okay, we recognize that many, aspirants have some debt, but we won't take, or most of them just won't take any, or they take some, do you know?
Well, my understanding, Rhonda, is that you have to be debt free to enter, because that's my understanding, because you take a vow of poverty. And if you have debt, then you must have a way of paying that debt. And so it
I
doesn't
think that
work.
that's true for some. And then there are others, if, for example, if it's a teaching order, like, or if it's an order or a community that you have to have a higher education for,
Uh-huh.
um, they want you to have that higher education.
Right.
So sometimes, like, that's why if you come in as a high school graduate, if you come in very young, right, they're going to have to educate you.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
there are some that there's a little bit different, but on the
Yes.
whole, they don't want you to
On the whole, they
enter
don't. And
with that.
right. And I imagine that, as you said, if they educate you while you are a member of the order, that's a different story than if you're coming to them as a new vocation. So we have, for instance, funded a lot of the Nashville Dominicans. That, wonderful teaching order, but they come to us frequently um, for help paying off their student loan debt so that they're able to enter.
Okay.
So
Okay, tell me a little bit about the criteria of a person you're looking for, that you would say this is a good applicant to
right.
receive funds. I'm sure that there's some really basic things, for example, just citizenship and that kind of thing, but anything else you have, I mean, go ahead and explain it all.
Right, I will. So for starters, we don't look for instance, we don't accept photos. We're not looking at, for instance, the character of a person. If someone has been accepted by an order, then our feeling is that the Holy Spirit has done that job. That's not our job. And so then we're just really looking at the numbers and whether the person has tried to do anything about the student loan debt. That always works in their favor. If we see that they've actually tried, to do what they could before they came to us, that's always helpful. Usually the applicants with the lowest debt are accepted first, and then we work our way up, because our goal is to get as many vocations in as possible. So if we have somebody who has $120,000 debt because they've got, wonderful, master's degrees and all that, but then we've got 6 people who have, 10 or 15 or $20,000 in debt, we're gonna weigh that, because we certainly want to allow as many people as possible. Now, having said that, if somebody comes and, like I said, and they've really tried to do what they can and have actually chipped away at it a little bit on their own, or maybe some family or whatever, or through a job, that always works in their favor.
And they also have to be U.S. or Canadian citizens.
They do.
Okay.
Or their future religious institute must have some of its formation or apostolate in the US or Canada. And you will be formed in North America or participate in the order's North American apostolate. So you don't have to be a US or Canadian citizen if this latter applies. Your student loans have to be payable in US dollars.
All right.
Yeah, and we have to be able to communicate with the administrators of the loan. So they have to be able to communicate with us in English, because I'm not bilingual.
Yeah. And the religious order or community needs to be in line with the magisterium of the church.
Yes. It has to be what we consider an Orthodox order, but it has to be in line with the magisterium of the church. Yes.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah.
so I think it's just so interesting that we live in a time that this is such a barrier, but it is, and we know that you need help. I mean, because the more money you have in the fund, the more people you can help, the more
Well,
future
exactly.
ministers and priests. I mean, tell us how many, first of all, tell us how many people you
Exactly.
have helped,
Yes.
and per year, how many you help.
Yes, well, it really varies on the per year, but since 2007, we've helped over 230 young people discern their vocations. We've given out over $5 million in grant money to pay down student loan debt. To date, we've worked with, I think, 87 different religious communities, and we're always open to more, but that's the number where we are now. We currently have what, 100 and, of course, here I am on Facebook Live, and that's when I draw a blank. We have 120 young people in formation currently that have come through our grant process. And we have, I think, 55 young people in final vows right now. And so we have 55 almost newly minted priests, sisters, and brothers, and which is, I mean, it's such a blessing. And the way it works is that once they do take final vows, as I said, then we are committed to paying off their student loan debt over the course of the next 5 years. And so, yes, the money in and vocations out there's really a direct correlation there.
Awesome. And so
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real gift to the church for sure, to have more sisters and brothers and priests and nuns. So tell me, how could somebody help if they wanted to help? Where would they go to find out more information about helping?
Yes, yes. So we welcome supporters, and it's such a blessing to be able to be part of this ministry. You will feel so good if you join. And so there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can go to our website, which is very simple. It's just fundforvocations.org, fundforvocations.org, or you can email me, mary@fundforvocations.org. And we can go from there. I can send information. Or our website has a lot of information, but I have additional information too that I can send. And yes, we always welcome people into the ministry, and we have supporters all over the country. And when we can, sometimes we're even able to invite people to final vows and beautiful, beautiful masses and things, at first masses and things. It's a beautiful ministry to be involved in.
That's amazing. And when it is, I'm so thankful that there are organizations like yours that are there to help and to step into the breach to help these young people,
Right, right.
to further God's call. I mean, I don't want anything to get in the way of what God wants for their lives, but it's great for them to be able to go someplace to find out more information,
Well,
and
yes,
to
and
maybe
we
get help.
always, right, and we always actually have more applicants than we have resources, more qualified applicants. Qualified applicant meaning they've been accepted into a community that aligns with the Magisterium of the Church. And we always have more applicants than we can actually fund. There are years when we have to turn away 2 of every 3 applicants. Now, I don't want to discourage applicants, though. Please apply. Because we are working now to expand our reach and to grow, and we're working very hard on obtaining new funding. And so any of you out there who are interested in applying, I encourage you to apply. Our goal is that by 2023, we can accept every qualified applicant who comes to us. And so it's very exciting, and it's we're really in this, I really do feel that we're in this renewal of the church, and these young vocations are such an important part of the renewal of our church. And we need to do anything we can to support them, and then get out of their way is the way we look at it.
Amen. Money in, vocations out, right?
And off they go. And actually, a number of our grant recipients have actually become mother superiors in their orders, and they go on, even if they're not mother superiors, as individuals and children of God. They go on to do beautiful things, and we're very blessed to be part of it.
Amen to that. And thank you so much, Mary Radford from Fun for Vocations, for sharing more about this amazing ministry. And we just hope that so many people will come to the aid of those who are in need, and that those who are seeking help receive the help they need. And we're just thankful that you're a part of it and that you're there. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you for your beautiful vocations ministry. I'm very happy to be doing this with you. God bless.
Well, God bless you, Mary.
Thank you.